Good morning, everybody. Appreciate everybody coming here this morning as we draw attention to a critical issue that my constituents are facing, as well as a lot of my colleagues' constituents are facing around the state. This is a top priority, resolution of this problem for a large portion of the state. Now, my office has been inundated, flooded with constituent calls, complaints about the Foid card renewal process and the extreme delay that is caused at the state level. Now, this started late last summer, where we would have a few calls into the office and we would be able to reach out to the state and get the issues resolved and help expedite the process. But since then, we have just been inundated with calls. It's gotten to the point where we get multiple calls every day, and this is probably the main thing that my office, my district office, spends their time on. I would say almost 90% of their time every day is taken up dealing with Foid card renewal issues. And so you have several problems here. The first thing is that you are taking law-abiding citizens who are trying to exercise their constitutional right to bear arms, and you're creating a problem for them being compliant with the state law. That's a serious issue. These people are trying to do the right thing, and I've got some constituents with me this morning that are going to talk a little bit about some of the issues that they've faced. Now, I've long thought that the Foid card system was an infringement on our Second Amendment rights, but let's leave that issue aside. That issue is being litigated in the court system. You have a problem where mismanagement of this system is causing real problems for law-abiding citizens. And so while we've sought answers to this, we've gotten some disturbing facts from the state. First of all, we've learned that this system has been chronically understaffed. And as far as resources go, between fiscal year 15 and 19, almost $30 million of money has been swept out of the funds that manage these programs. That's no way to manage a state program. And so not only are you causing a problem for these law-abiding citizens, but this seriously lacks fiscal transparency. And it is no way to manage a state program. And quite frankly, you're setting the system up for a catastrophic failure. With that, I would like to turn it over to my colleague, Representative Charlie Meyer, who's going to talk about some of the issues in his district.
Good morning. I'm Charlie Meyer from the 108th District. When I took office in 2013, there were slight delays in the Foid card processing. My office receives 3 to 5 calls almost every day now. Wherever I go, I'm contacted by people that walk up to me. I have a problem with my Foid card. You have to explain the process, and you tell them that, you know, you're not the only one that's 2, 3, or 4 months behind. There's many more. I have veterans that come to my office. They can't reach anybody at the Illinois State Police. They have to wait 3 to 4 months. I have people call terrified because they've received a letter in the mail that while they've been in the hospital, whether it's with cancer or heart problems, somehow they've missed sending in their application for the Foid card. And they've been notified that the state police may come and take their guns away now. Maybe that's their grandpa's gun. They don't know what to do. I've been terrified that the one of them was going to have a stroke on me right there because he was so worried about losing his guns and that he had missed this while he was in the hospital. We need to fix the program. We need to stop the rating of the funds from the Foid cards. We don't need to hear any more excuses of the copiers broke. If we're going to enforce the Foid card and require the fees from people, we need to provide the services and provide them on a timely manner. Abide by the law that the citizens of Illinois are trying to do and being denied by the process the way it's going right now. I'd like to introduce you to Patrick Windhorst now.
Thank you, Charlie. My name is Patrick Windhorst. I'm state representative in the 118th District, which is all or parts of the southernmost 11 counties of the state. As you've heard from the other 2 representatives, the same is true for my office. This is the #1 issue that we receive calls on in our district office in Harrisburg. And because of that, I took took some legislative steps to file bills that will hopefully address some of these issues that we've heard. The first, I believe have support here with everyone present, is to eliminate the Foid card. I filed HB 913, which calls for the Foid card to be repealed. This year, Representative Cabello filed HB 4067, which calls for the same repeal. Now, we understand the makeup of the General Assembly and the possibility that that bill will not be called or not be voted on, so there are other pieces of legislation that we feel will address these issues. The first is House Bill 4447. As you heard, there's a delay for people filing for renewal of their Foid card. That delay is running about 3 to 5 months. Right now, to apply for your renewal, you have to wait until you're within 90 days of expiration before you can apply. So that's creating a gap where people are applying for renewal and not receiving their Foid card even though they're abiding by the law. Oftentimes they're receiving a letter which they can use supposedly a substitute for their Foid card. The issue is gun dealers will not accept that letter in order to sell firearms or ammunition. So it creates a huge problem. To address that problem, HB 4447 provides that the state police will accept renewal applications within 180 days of expiration, and that there will be no change in the expiration date, meaning you don't lose any time for applying within 6 months. The second bill is HB 4450. People who have their Foid card denied or revoked can appeal that process. The issue is there is no time frame applied for response by the state police to that appeal. HB 4450 provides that the state police will respond within 60 days of any denial, any appeal of a denial, so that way the individual, if further denied on that appeal, can go to court to seek redress in the court system. Representative Dan Calkins also has a similar bill, which is HB 4591. And then finally, HB 4448 deals with a gap in our system since we've adopted the concealed carry license legislation. Right now, the Foid card time period is 10 years. The concealed carry time period is 5 years. If an individual files for a concealed carry license within the last 5 years of their Foid card time period, and they inadvertently let their Foid card lapse, then their concealed carry card will be revoked. They've been through the background check. Everything's checked out with the state police, but there was just an error that occurred. This is creating a situation where individuals who are otherwise law-abiding may be charged with potentially a felony depending on how they're carrying their firearm, and they believe they're in compliance with the law. So to avoid this problem from occurring in the future, HB 4448 says that if you're in that time gap, that your Foid card will automatically be extended to the end of your concealed carry license, so that way there's no gap in the future. We believe if we can't get the Foid card revoked, which we'd like, or repealed, which we'd like, back up. If we can't get the Foid card legislation repealed, we have common sense fixes to some of these issues that will help our citizens in our area deal with the issues that they've been facing. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Representative Marin to introduce some other individuals.
I'm thankful to have some constituents with me this morning that have had some personal experiences. These are fine people that I've known for a while. We have Jeff Francis from Oakwood, Illinois, and Kathy Porter from Danville. And one of, he's retired now, he retired in 2016, but one of the chief law enforcement officials in my district at one time, former State's Attorney Randy Brinegar, who they've all had issues. So at this time, I would like to invite Kathy, and then we'll invite Randy up to talk about some of the personal issues that they've had, the experience they've dealt with while trying to renew their Foid cards.
On December 14th, 2019, I went online to just change my address for my Foid card. Today will be 81 days since that application, and it is still under review. I've tried numerous times to call the telephone number that was given and never once been able to reach it, no matter what time or day I call. That's really all I have to offer.
Can you spell your name, please?
We need to know your name.
Kathy Porter, Kathie Porter.
Kathy, where are you from?
Danville.
Thanks, Kathy. And then I'd like to ask Randy to come up and talk about his experience where he was so frustrated he actually came over and visited the state police in person, and I'll let him talk about his experience.
My name is Randy Brenniger. I'm from rural Danville. I applied for my Foid card renewal July 8th, 2019, and I did that through a licensing agency because I wanted to make sure that it was done correctly, and I was not sure about doing it online, so I had them do it. That was July 8th of last year. Several months later, still hadn't received my Foid card. I'd heard about the backlog, so I kept quiet and just kept waiting. Finally, my wife Debbie and I decided that this has been long enough, and so on January 21st, we decided to come over here to Springfield, the reason being that phone calls weren't working. It's easy to not answer the phone or put you on hold. We thought we'd just drive over here, so we did. And so on January 21st, we went to the state police office. We immediately were told, if you're here for a Foid card, you can't get an appointment, but there'll be somebody out to see you. And a few minutes later, there was somebody out to see us. That person had a spiral-bound notebook. He took down my name and my phone number, and he said that I would receive a call back from the state police within 2 weeks, and he emphasized within 2 weeks between, I think, 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. I'm still waiting on that call, and that was January the 21st. And obviously, as state's attorney, I knew the importance of following the law. In fact, my job was to prosecute people that broke the law. So I don't want to break the law, but now I can't do anything. I have some land that I go target shooting. That's mainly what I use my firearm for. But I have to be in compliance with the law, and as a former law enforcement officer, I don't want to be not in compliance. And so here I am without a Foid card, and it's going on 8 months now. Thank you.
Spell your last name.
It's Brenniger, B-R-I-N-E-G-A-R.
Thank you, Randy. And I would be remiss, we also have Mrs. Deb Brenniger with us this morning, too. I apologize I didn't introduce you when I introduced my other constituents. With that, we'd be happy to take any questions.
There's other proposals here at the State House. One is up for final passage, I believe, Senate Bill 1966. That would increase Foid card fees. It would also require Foid applicants to submit fingerprints in order to get the card. I've heard lawmakers opposing it all day long. I'd love to hear from some of your constituents their thoughts on that, on whether or not to require fingerprints. Is that something that's necessary? Even state police are pushing for this bill, saying they need the increased funding to help with this process.
Well, I think my take on that would be, I mean, first of all, why are we increasing fees when we've rated the fund for $30 million? And then, in addition to that, we already have a backlog, and you're going to increase the amount of information that has to be stored and evaluated with fingerprints, and also shorten the amount of time, the duration that a Foid card is good. I think you're making the problem worse. I think the best thing that we can do to fix the problem is to manage the system appropriately, the way it needs to be managed.
Any of your constituents willing to sound off on that proposal? And there's another proposal as well that would require $1 million insurance policy not to own a gun to get a Foid card.
Yeah, I think that's an infringement on your Second Amendment rights. I mean, I don't see how that's a black and white issue to me. I mean, you're inhibiting people from their Second Amendment rights by making those requirements.
What do you say to people who, say the Foid card's necessary to make sure that criminals aren't getting guns and to help fight some of the gun violence that happens in the state?
I would counter by creating a backlog where you've got, all these applications that aren't being processed. I think you're setting the system up for failure. I think you're almost guaranteeing that it's not going to work appropriately. That's scary to me.
We're only one of 4 states that requires something like a Foid card, and other states obviously aren't needing it and are respecting their citizens' rights, their constitutional rights to possess a firearm, and I believe Illinois should do the same.
So where does that leave us? What can you surmise? What do legal gun owners? What can they do? Can they go target practice? In other words, what can you do with this if it's expired? And what can you not currently do, such as purchase ammunition? We've heard a lot of things, but we'd like to know specifically what you can and can't do right now.
Well, I'll let the lawyer field that question.
Thanks, Mike. So what we've been told by the state police is if you make a timely renewal application, there's no lapse, then that you will receive a letter from the state police before you receive your Foid card. That letter is to be recognized by law enforcement as your Foid card, as an extension of your Foid card, so you can lawfully possess and own a firearm. That is the answer we begin by the state police in that question. Now, what individuals can do, not to invite more calls, but they can reach out to our offices. I know I'll speak for myself personally. My office is happy to help our constituents with addressing this issue, and hopefully we can help bring resolution for them.
Would you rather see this whole system go online, or are there security? I mean, obviously that would be maybe a couple of years off. You'd have to put out an RFP and do a long project, but would you want to see it online, or would you rather there be a paper system for maybe folks who don't use the internet more regularly?
I won't speak for everybody up here, but I'm a fan of technology and trying to update things. But I think before we add anything else to the program, we need to make sure that we're able to effectively manage what we're doing now. And so, I think you look back and the system obviously had, for years has operated up to this point before the mismanagement started, with a paper pencil system. So I think the main focus, while I'm pro-technology, I'm pro-efficiency, the main thing is you got to manage the system appropriately, regardless of what technology you use.
Gun seller, aren't they going to look at you like, I'm not going to sell you a firearm because your card obviously has an expiration date on it?
So the only thing I'll speak to on that is what I've heard from gun dealers, not dealing with the legality, just what we've heard. They're not accepting that. They want to see the actual Foid card with the expiration date beyond the current date, that the letter is not enough. They're concerned about legal implications if they just accept the letter.
What does that mean for your constituents who want to exercise their Second Amendment?
That means that they're not able to purchase a firearm or ammunition and will have in my opinion, have their constitutional rights infringed.
So would you have anything to say to the state police director who says, we need more resources to effectively?
Well, I think Representative Marin has answered that with the funds that have been swept, almost $30 million in a 5-year period of time, I believe. And to me, those funds could have been used to help address this system. Now, I will say with the legislation that I brought up, the state police has reached out to me. They seem to be interested in some of the bills that have been put forward, so hopefully we can make some progress there.
The bills that you're introducing, are you saying that if they pass this as a solution to the backlog, or is there something else that also needs to be done?
It'll help the situation. I don't believe that, to me, the solution is get rid of the Foid card. That's the solution. But the issues we're seeing will help address some of those problems, the delays in the renewal process, and people are being caught in gaps where they're not getting responses from the state police or having their concealed carry license revoked. So it would address those issues specifically. As it applied in that case, in the White County case, it should be held unconstitutional. That was someone who possessed a firearm in their own home. The U.S. Supreme Court has been clear that we have a constitutional right as individuals to possess firearms. The home is also recognized as a place that is protected under law. So I believe as it applies there, it should be found unconstitutional. Definitely, I would like to see the entire act be declared unconstitutional. There was a recent Illinois Supreme Court case where the Supreme Court recognized the possession of a firearm as a civil right, which was important. They decided the Foid issue on other grounds. They didn't address constitutionality. In that case, it was a unanimous decision. So my hope is that with this case that has been brought before the Illinois Supreme Court, that is, the arguments have been heard, we're just waiting on an opinion that they take the next step and rule on constitutionality.
One more question. Some people who push for more gun control measures, U.S. Senator Dick Durbin, even Vice President Joe Biden have talked about how you don't need a 100-round clip to hunt a deer or something to that effect. What do you think the Second Amendment's for? Why is it important? Is it about hunting? What's the purpose of the Second Amendment?
In my opinion, the U.S. Constitution is pretty clear. We have the right to keep and bear arms. It's that simple. And, but, you know, I think the focus of today, beyond the Second Amendment issue, this is about management of a state program or the mismanagement of a state program. And you know, those arguments are going to continue. I think we've all laid out where we stand on the Second Amendment. We're strong supporters of the Second Amendment. But beyond that, the state needs to take some accountability and start to manage this program, or if not, it needs to go away. Simple as that. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.